Hello everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of Ship Shape. This week we're going to be talking about the whiteboxing step in ship creation, showcasing the Reliant since it's in this stage right now. So the whiteboxing stage is the very first phase of modeling. Before most of the modeling images I had shown you earlier, those tended to be gray box when the ship's built out a little bit more and we're actually shaping it. White box, by contrast, is the very first time there is a 3D anything representing the ship in-game. It's very rough, and it's mostly for prototyping and spacing to catch any major spacing issues to make sure that all of the design needs work before we go into more detail. Now we have some white box images of the Reliant to show you here today. The first challenge when we were beginning whiteboxing this ship was spacing out the inside. Now this is a pretty small ship, as you guys know, and we needed to make sure that it was wide enough for characters to actually walk through the thing. At first it wasn't, so we had to make sure that we were spacing things out correctly so that players could actually walk through. The second challenge was to make sure that we could also have enough room for cargo in the ship. Since this is a mini hauler, this is pretty important. And we wanted to make sure that there was enough space inside of the ship, not only for the character to walk through and navigate and interact with everything they'll need to interact with on the ship, but also for you to carry cargo in a way that makes sense. We've also got a top-down white box image. You'll see some red blocks. These are where, right now, we're thinking that components are going to be placed on the ship. Now, one of the things we're working on right now in the white box for the Reliant is testing out animations, making sure that everything moves correctly, has enough space, and again, makes sense with the dimension of the interior of the ship versus the exterior versus where the character is going to need to go. You'll also notice the opening hatch, and we've got an image here to show not only how it opens, but how it opens in relation to the size of the character, again, to make sure that they can get out. And last but certainly not least, you'll notice the spinning pilot seats. These are one of the coolest, unique features of the Reliant and one of my favorite things about the ship. We have the white box animation for these, again, in reference to the size of a player. So you can imagine how a player will be able to walk up to the seats, how they'll fit into them, and then once inside, how the seats are going to move. Thank you yet again for joining me on Ship Shape this week, guys. Back to you, Sandy and Ben.